In this video, we will show you how to create a bootable USB drive for Windows using the command prompt. While many tools like Rufus and Ventoy can create bootable USB drives for Windows, this video will guide you through making one using only the command prompt, with no extra software needed. Before we start, please plug in your USB drive. It should be at least 8 GB. Also, make sure you have downloaded the Windows ISO file. For this example, I'll create a Windows 11 bootable USB. First, search for CMD and open command prompt as an administrator. Now, let's start the Diskpart tool. Type list disk to see all the drives connected to your computer. You can find your USB drive by its size. For example, my USB drive is disk 1. Now, select your USB disk by typing select disk followed by its number. This command will erase everything on your USB drive. Please note that selecting the wrong disk can erase all of your data, so select it carefully. Next, set the disk style to MBR. This will allow it to work with both UEFI and older BIOS systems. Now, create a new partition and set its size to 8 GB. Format the partition using the FAT32 file system. Make the partition active. Assign a drive letter to the partition. As you can see, this is the partition we'll use for our bootable USB. Please remember the drive letter. I'll need it later. In my case, the drive letter is F. We can now exit Diskpart and go back to the Windows command prompt. Next, let's mount the Windows 10 or 11 ISO file you downloaded. It appears mounted as drive D. Let's remember this drive letter. In the command prompt window, go to the boot folder inside the mounted ISO drive. Now, run this command to add the boot code for legacy BIOS mode. Remember to replace the drive letter with your USB drive's letter. Next, copy all the files and folders from the mounted ISO drive to your USB drive, except for the install.vim file. This is because FAT32 has a 4 GB file size limit. Finally, split the install.vim file and put it into the sources folder on your USB drive. Don't forget to change the drive letters to match yours. This process will take a few minutes, so please be patient. Once it's done, you can use this USB drive to install Windows on other computers. Here's a list of common BIOS keys by brands for motherboards and laptops. Right after turn on or restart your computer, press the designated key repeatedly until you enter BIOS setup or boot menu. If your computer supports dual boot modes, you might see 2 USB options when booting. The option starting with UEFI will boot into UEFI mode. The option without it will boot into legacy BIOS mode. As you can see, the USB can boot into UEFI mode to install Windows. And this time, it's booting into legacy BIOS mode. As you can see, the USB supports booting in both BIOS modes. Additionally, you can also quickly test if your USB boot device works by using VirtualBox or VMware Workstation. I'll use VMware Workstation for this example. Let's create a Windows 10 or 11 test virtual machine. This virtual machine is just for testing the USB boot, so you can keep the default settings. After it's created, instead of starting it right away, go to the Power menu and choose Power On to Firmware. The virtual machine will now start directly into its firmware settings, similar to BIOS. Now, right-click on the VM tab and connect your USB drive to the new virtual machine. Next, go back to the VM tab and select Restart Guest OS. This will restart the virtual machine while keeping the USB drive connected. The virtual machine will try to boot from all available devices. Wait about 30 seconds, and it should boot from the USB drive. Please note that this method only works with UEFI BIOS mode. As you can see, the USB drive is now booting into the Windows installation. That's it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you in the next videos.